Here with head coach Mike Anderson. Coach, if we can just recap the past few series, weeks, followed by a few questions.
You know, we got ourselves started within the Summit League Conference and had some weather issues, so we only got a doubleheader in with St. Thomas, but really felt good about the way the kids came out and started competing. Really a little turnover turning into conference play. You know, we split with them, but really felt like we started to play better baseball. So good start, 1-1 within conference. You know, and then heading to one of the top teams in the SEC and one of the top teams in the country is always a challenge. Thought our kids really competed well. The scores really didn't indicate it, but we played well at Arkansas. Well enough to say, hey, we got a chance to win this thing, but also well enough to say, if we just keep playing good baseball, good things can happen. So.
Absolutely. And then most recently, Coach, you take 2 of 3 at Omaha. What were you proud of from the team this weekend? Was it the play discipline? Was it making critical plays? What was it?
Thrilled with the weekend, really because of composure and competing. You know, we kind of have an ongoing saying that we're trying to break through with a lot of things, and sometimes a breakdown helps that breakthrough. A couple losses to Arkansas that way, but I really felt like our team was playing good baseball defensively. Our pitching was set up to do well, and if we just performed some things offensively, which we did, we were really consistent through 3 games in Omaha. Our pitching held up. The depth of our pitching shows up a little bit late in games, but that does the case with everybody. We would have liked to have taken all 3, had a chance to, but taking 2 of 3 on the road was real crucial for us, and I was just really happy with the way the kids competed all weekend long.
Coach, great performances across the lineup. In particular, Sam Pease had a great weekend. What would you say about his approach to the game and his plate discipline and his preparation that goes into the game?
Yeah, Peasy was great. He's always good for us defensively, you know, and he's set down the bottom of our lineup at times, and one of his biggest assets, he gets on base all the time. He can turn that lineup over, keep that line moving, but he did more than that for us this weekend, and had RBIs, crucial ABs when they were needed. So really pleased with his overall at-bats, really intent, and crucial at-bats for us. Again, he came through with a lot of RBIs on the week, helped us win games on the offensive side, not only just on the defensive.
And switching sides of the ball here, Trevor Landon, Reese Wagner, both great performances this weekend for them against the Mavericks. What's their approach been, and what's the preparation from the pitching side, competing with conditions and tough lineups?
So far, you know, you mentioned Reese, Jake Story's in that mix too. If we have 2 quality starters that are getting us deeper into games, which helps the bullpen. But to look at Friday night, Reese got us into the 5th and 6th inning, and all of a sudden we got the chance to go to Landon and stack those 2 together. Landon has some starts under his belt from experience standpoint. We're not going the traditional route of, you know, starter, a guy in the middle, and then somebody who closes. We just kind of went with somebody that's stacked, and Trevor took us through, finished that one out. We used Trevor again on Sunday, kind of in that same type role, but having those quality starts with Reese Wagner, did a great job. That set the tone for the whole weekend. Just using 2 guys on a Friday night sets your bullpen up for what we're trying to do on Saturday and Sunday. So quality starts out of those 2 guys, quality performances.
And looking ahead, Coach, hosting South Dakota State this weekend for more Summit League action. Feels like you guys been on the road for quite some time, but back home now. How excited are you to be back at Jackson? Looking ahead.
Love to play at home. We wish we had more games. You know, college baseball's changed so much. It's tough to get home games for smaller schools like us, and so any chance, obviously within the Summit, we get our Summit League games at home. But I think our guys are excited by that. It kind of gets our feet back underneath us. You know, the travel's stressful at times, but coming back home, you get your own weight room, your own BP, your own field. Hopefully we have some strength with that, and South Dakota State's off to a good start within conference too, so it'll be a good, challenging weekend for us.
And last question here, Coach. Heading into with the 3-2 conference record this weekend, what are some key areas you want to see the team continue to be consistent in, some areas you think can improve?
I think the word right there is what we want, consistency. You know, from the pitching side, we've had some young guys give us great performances, and then they come back and have a challenging one, a tough one. So what we're trying to do is create consistency with those young guys, create that depth within our pitching staff. The consistency within our lineup is showing. Every day we know what kind of at-bats we're going to get, mature at-bats. And then so far the defensive, we won some games this weekend because of our defense. So you put those three things together, we've got a chance to win some games. And hopefully you always go into the weekend saying you got to win the series. See what happens this weekend. That's what we're trying to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Clayton Sikorsky here, Director of Golf. Coach, if we can just talk about the last week's tournament for women's golf at Hawaii, and then their current tournament at Bentwater, and then we'll talk about upcoming tournaments for the men's side.
Yeah, really good event in Hawaii. I mean, really strong field. Really good for the girls to, to experience that, not only being in Hawaii, but playing against some of the best in the country. We were super fortunate to get the tournament in. They had some crazy weather and rain leading up to the event, so kudos to University of Hawaii and everybody at the golf course for getting that thing going. But, we kind of finished where we were supposed to based off the rankings. We were 4 shots back on Montana State, who, I would say would be a top 3 team in our conference. So we're within shouting distance, I think 10 back of Sacramento State, who's the best team. So we've beaten Sacramento State this year. We've been close in the other ones, which, again, we haven't done in 6 years. So really cool to see. The great thing about the Big Sky this year on the women's side, is a really strong conference. NAU is also very, very good. Montana State, us, Weber. I mean, it's a really good conference this year. So we're in it. We just got to fix some things going forward, and we'll be in a good spot for conference. Currently, our girls are in Georgia at Kennesaw State's event. I think we're 3rd as of last check in the live scoring. So hopefully we can hang on and maybe move up a spot. I think Louisville separated themselves. They're a top 75 team, really good program. But talking to Coach Tina, course is really tough out there. So again, anytime we can put our girls in tough environments, I think they're going to be better for it in the long run. But hopefully we can finish strong. We had a decent first day yesterday. It looks like we're playing a lot better today. So we're in a good spot.
Coach, switching gears here, going on the men's side of things, big tournament next week, hosted by Wyoming. It feels like the team's been off for a few weeks now, so how do you keep that preparation, but that urgency still?
Yeah,
time off?
Yeah, especially with spring break. Kids were gone all last week, so hopefully they enjoyed their time off, but still gotten some good work. Again, we're super fortunate with the weather here this year. I think it's going to be 88 degrees today, so we're able to get outside and get some work in. So we'll start preparing. We'll have qualifying today. Get the scorecard in their hands just to prepare for Wyoming. Because, Wyoming's event's going to be a really good field for us. I think there's 23 teams. A lot of the teams are ranked inside the top 100. I think Weber State's the only Big Sky team there, so it's a good opportunity for us to compete against them. I think we play with them in our 2 tournaments leading up to conference at the Wigwam in Arizona. So hopefully we continue our good play from the last 2 events and maybe elevate that a little bit. Again, we're looking for that 5th player to step up and really help our team. And then I think if Cooper and Kaylin elevate their game, we're in a really good spot.
Coach, what has been some consistencies that you've seen from the team or from individual players? Has it been great work from the tee? Has it been around the greens? Has it been on the greens? What have you seen from your team, and what are some areas you want them to keep pace, or what are some areas you see to improve? Good
question. I think that's been our biggest struggle. We don't really have something to fall back on. So we're really stressing in practice to be an elite wedge team. I think that's really important because if you do kind of hit it out of play or get in trouble, it saves you shots. And then these kids do hit it so long nowadays that they're going to have a lot of wedge opportunities each event. So if we can clean that up, we're going to be in a good spot. Our golf course is coming up. I think, again, off the tee isn't a priority. So again, approach and then around the greens, on the greens, I think are really important for our next 3 events. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, and hopefully our kids will prepare well and we'll be in a good spot.
And lastly, Coach, what's the message for both programs looking forward and getting closer to conference play? Conference tournaments, sorry.
Yeah, good. I mean, that's our goal all year, is to compete to win the conference championship, right? It's something we haven't done since 2023 on the men's side and since 2012 on the women's. But, I think both teams are poised to compete this year, which is great. And hopefully our kids can see that goal at the end of the semester and just work towards that. It's getting closer and closer. But everything we've done leading up to this helps prepare for those conference tournaments. And hopefully when, mid-April when we're in those conference tournaments, kids are just having fun and playing their best golf.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Here with head coach Christian Matteo. Coach, if you could just recap some highlights from this season, all the success, the tremendous success this team had.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here today. I'll start with thanking you all because, really appreciative of the work that you put in, helping to just amplify what we're doing from the women's basketball side. And I know we couldn't do it without you. And great year for our team this season. 23 wins, which I think is the second most wins maybe that we've had in the D1 era. So moving in the right direction. Really love where our program is at. It starts with the people in the program and the people that we get to work with every single day. Our players were tremendous. I thought when you say leave it all on the court, empty the tank, we did that to the bitter end. And even starting our season, I think about that trip to Chicago. That was a big moment for us. Beating DePaul, Big East team, beating Campbell in overtime. I think we went straight to Arizona after that tournament. And so there were a lot of just opportunities for growth for our team. And I thought we just kept this resilient, competitive mindset throughout the whole entire year. And then even leading as we got into conference play, we finished third overall in conference. And just really proud of the growth that we've had in that area because, the year before we struggled a little bit, but a lot of the girls decided to, hey, let's keep this thing together. Let's see what we can do the following year. And I think, there's strength in numbers and returning and understanding what the league looks like. And I thought we were really, really well led by our seniors. On the court, we were led by a couple sophomores and a junior in Tatum West and what she did. And if I highlight our four seniors, we couldn't have done it without them. 3 of the 4 were with us for 4 years. And that's incredible, just the loyalty that they've had and investment that they've had in each other as a team and what they've done with their coaches as well. And then Julia Riley too, 2 strong years with us. And so they were incredible. And then I thought just some outstanding performances with some of our players. Nina George, taking that big step from freshman to sophomore year, really carrying the scoring load as well. Tatum West, I can't talk highly enough about her. She's a double-double machine and really began to find this identity for herself on the court and just tough. Gritty. I love it. I love that personality that she carries and really represents our program really well. Heather Bayman, another one that came off the bench for us and really contributed offensively, and just so excited for her future and what that's going to look like with us because I just think, there's so much more growth that can happen to her game that's going to really infuse our team this next year. And I could go on and on about every player because, everybody found a way to impact everything that was happening, but really proud with just the opportunity to play in postseason. I think as a player, you want that opportunity to keep your season extended, and we were able to get 2 games in postseason play, 1 big in-state game with Air Force, and then obviously going to South Dakota. And this is kind of just a random basketball stat, but 8 of our last 9 games were on the road. And so we really became road warriors on how we finished out conference play, conference tournament, and then going to the WNIT tournament. And so just really proud of, it takes a lot of toughness and some mental fortitude to be on the road for that long and flying everywhere to stay focused on what we're trying to do as a team. So all in all, love where the program is headed. Really, really have a deep love and respect for our players and everything that they gave. And just very thankful for our fans and our crowd and fan base and just donors and people that really poured into our team this year because we couldn't have done it without them. Of course, we have sports medicine, sports performance, and a lot of support staff, including some of you guys in this room that come along and make us look great every single day. So excited for the future of Bear women's basketball.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
That's it.
Coach, if you want to quickly recap this last weekend.
Yeah, we knew St. Mary's was going to be tough competition. As coaches, we knew that. I think they had an excellent weekend, and I think the positive, it's always you look at a weekend like this. There was 2 of the 3 games we really had a shot to get a chance to win those games, right? And you just got to take a weekend like this and look at all the positive things we did and then build on that, right? So it's rough to go 0-3, right? It's rough to go 0-3, and then now as we turn the corner, we head into conference, right? So your expectation is always in a weekend like that is, can you grab 1? Can you grab 2? And we didn't, which is disappointing, but at the same time, we just got to grow from it. So, yeah.
You saw production throughout the lineup from players like Hayden, Ella, and KK, but what did you like most about the team's offensive approach against St. Mary's?
Yeah, so we had a big focus the week before at practice on situational hitting, and that's where we had been kind of lacking. I think the weekend before, we had situations where if we had just had some situational hitting, we could have scored more runs, and we worked hard on that. They did. They worked hard on that at practice the week before, and I think that showed up big time. And I think that was one of their focuses and goals this past weekend, and I think they did an excellent job in it. And so, moving forward, I think that will continue to be a focus. And their approaches they had really great approaches at the plate. I think we were really productive at the plate, which is really positive going forward.
The team responded multiple times after falling behind in games. How do you evaluate the group's resilience and ability to compete inning to inning?
Yeah, and that's a place I think we've had a ton of growth from the beginning of preseason to now. I feel like we are fighting. We are not rolling over. We are continuing to fight till the very last out. And so that's been a huge shift in our team. And I think we've seen it over the last few weekends. We're being able to close out tight games, or we're continuing to fight and come back, right? They score 4 runs, we're scoring 4 runs. So we're not just rolling over, which is beautiful. It makes me excited, right? You just know that they're giving everything they have, that's awesome. Can't ask for more than that, right? So, yeah.
St. Mary's was able to capitalize on a few key innings. What were the biggest adjustments you would have liked to see from the pitching staff or defensively?
Yeah, and that's something we're going to work on this week, right? Just having, and we've talked as a pitching staff, having that confidence to really just commit to the pitch. I think, as pitchers, sometimes we want to be a little too perfect, or we're trying to place pitches versus just really go for it and see what happens, right? I think the minute you try to hold back on any pitch, your body gets tight and the ball just sits, right? And then it sits over the fence. And so, that's one of those things, like, how do we just commit to going for it? They're all so talented. They all have incredible pitches. They have it physically, right? So then it's like, how do we work that mental piece of it, of just really hammering the zone and going for it? Let our defense play, right? Let our defense play. Let whatever fall, but don't hold back. And so that's where we've got to switch our mentality as a pitching staff and really go for it. So that's the focus this week.
Kind of going off that with Big Sky Play approaching this weekend, what else are the biggest areas you're kind of focusing on?
Yeah, I think, you head into conference, and I had a great conversation with Coach Oates, and we were talking about heading into this type of a weekend, right? Coming off of kind of a hard weekend, right? And then we're about to face Sac State. They're playing great ball right now. I mean, they just are. They've had a great preseason, but we're all 0-0 at this point, right? So how do we head into this weekend? Also realizing we've got to play the long game, right? We're not going to win everything or win the conference in one weekend. So it's still a focus of how do we get better each day? How do we get how do we get 1% better? How do we have growth? How do we have growth mentally, physically, emotionally, and even culturally, right? So it's still about learning and progressing and getting better. And we just have to keep that focus and not go into this weekend saying it's do or die. And, you know, we're going to win it all in one weekend. And if we succeed or fail, that's what it's all about. So, you know, that's kind of got to be our approach this week at practice, our approach this weekend, and as we roll into conference series. So, but excited, you know, it's fun. Again, everybody's 0-0, so we just got to have fun, go play our game, and then just keep growing. So, yeah.
sure.
Here with head coach Tion Ware. Coach, if you could just kind of recap the 25-26 season. Obviously, your first year as head coach here at UNC. Talk about your experience, what you saw from the program.
You know, getting here such late during the summer and everything like that, we knew we had to take what we have, but I'm grateful for the guys that we had. I got to roll with this season. You know, you got to start somewhere. You know, it's always, you know, everybody always wants, oh, you know, I want a team full of past All-Americans. Who wouldn't want that? But at the end of the day, you know, what I learned from these guys is, you know, taking guys that weren't even looked at these last couple of years that actually got into the lineup, that opened up their eyes to let them see, hey, is this really what you want to do, which is D1 and wrestle in the Big 12 and all these others. So I think what we learned is, you know, what guys learned about themselves and what we saw in them, you know, this season of how tough this really is and how tough this sport really is.
Obviously, we had Dom Serrano and Mahanra Rushton head to Big 12s. They both play. Mahanra gets a fifth place finish. Dom gets an at-large. Talk about that experience, what you saw from those guys, and how important it is to have wrestlers make it to that stage to make it a consistent standard.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, man, unfortunately what happened to Dom, but once again, he set himself up, you know, with, you know, his season, you know, that's how you get at large bid, because, hey, you beat guys throughout the season, you know, he's shown how tough he is. And unfortunately, you know, got concussed during that tournament, but then, you know, Rushton was the main talk, you know, Rushton, all year we talked about how you gotta slay some giants, and Rushton did that, you know, he took out the number 10 guy, and, you know, and he took advantage of it. And that number 10 guy was, you know, right there about the All-American. So at the end of the day, you know, he had to be the giant, and he trained himself. He did that. And man, that was big. That put the smile on our face and everything like that. And, you know, that hopefully that shows guys, hey, you're willing to put in the work of what how many of you guys are putting in the work of what this dude did? He wrestled like it was his last, and unfortunately it is. And so we need more guys thinking like that of this could be it, because, you know, this sport doesn't promise you anything. Things happen like that, and you just got to make sure if it's your time, you're ready to go and ready to capitalize on the opportunity.
And most recently, Coach, NCAA championships. Can you talk about that experience and, you know, how important it is to have wrestlers, you know, partake in that big events and for upcoming wrestlers or potential new bearers?
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of training if you ain't going to the big dance? You know, I tell guys that. I say, well, why would we start training in August, September if we're not doing it for March Madness? And it's not about just going to the dance. You know, I mean, I've been done 20 years, and I still, you know, get hyped, still get anxious, you know, watching the finals. Because when you've lived that, you know what it takes to get there. And our deal is, you know, with our two seniors, you know, congrats to them making it, doing that. But I know the competitors that they're not happy, you know, with how nationals went. And so, but they worked hard. They did what they did. Now they close this door and take it to the next door that they're doing. But as far as the other guys, the returners, you know, they need to understand. They, once again, like I said, they didn't work harder than those two guys. So if you're not working hard and training like those two guys, what makes you think you're going to get to go to that big dance? Thinks you're going to get a taste of it. And it's not just going to the big dance. You want to come home with something, you know, and you got to beat some giants. You guys have to beat some bigger giants. And you see it. That's why they call it March Madness. Who's going to be the underdog to take out the big names? And you see it everywhere. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that are willing to, you know, take out the big dogs, and that's a mindset, and we're gonna get those guys up in here.
And lastly, Coach, key takeaways from the season, from the 25-26 season. If you could list out a few key takeaways, what would those be?
You know, I mean, my main takeaways is my seniors. You know, I appreciate their leaderships. Not just Dom and Rushton. You know, we had guys like Brady. You know, Hank, and he did the small right things, man. Good kid. You know, you got guys like Bryce, Toby. They showed up day in and day out. You know, working, helping guys, and everything like that. And so guys like Andrew. You know, he took Rushton under his wing. You know, his last couple months of wrestling, and came in on the weekend and worked with him. Like, those are takeaways right there that I like as a team, we look at each other as a family. Yeah, we might be a bunch of individuals, but we look out for each other like an army unit. You know, like that's just how it is. We hold each other accountable, but we're there for each other as well. And so those are some big takeaways. And obviously, you know, yeah, we got 3 wins this season, but at the end of the day, you know, our guys were behind each other. We were our biggest fans, you know, on the bench, which was big. And at the end of the day, you know, we're going to get guys up in here that, hey, now let's turn 3 wins into 6 wins, you know, where we're steadily going up, and you know, as a team. But you got to get those guys in here, which we will. You know, who doesn't want to come and live in Colorado? Everybody does. So we're going to get the right guys up in there and get our program to where we want it to be.